Next on my list is Nandini Kumar, who's Counsellor at the Center of Excellence for Sustainable Development, which hosts that CII-ITC Center. And I would like to ask you, Nandini, CII through your center has been a strong advocate for circular economy and also for the business opportunities it presents, and was also involved in the circular economy mission, which Michael was already referring to. And particularly also focusing on this notion that it goes beyond recycling. So we don't want to just recycle. We basically, as some have said, if it's circular, then we should not have recycling at all, but we should have remanufacturing, revaluation, and so on. So could you share your impression of kind of industry mood on remanufacturing as a contributor to circular economy, and the types of initiatives and partnerships that the industrial sector, the manufacturing sector, is expecting to drive remanufacturing in India? Nandini, floor is yours.
Thanks, René. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much for calling us, having CII over here, so that we can talk about our thoughts on the circular economy. I had a little discussion before entering this panel, actually, with a couple of people to see what industry's mood would encapsulate. And the understanding that I had from some of my colleagues was that this aspect is very much determined, at least in the Indian context, by the pulls. And so a very large part of the pull would come from maybe incentives, probably policy incentives, something from the government, and possibly from customers as well. So as you mentioned earlier, there is no one size fits all approach to this. But with industry, I think the mood is largely determined by these two factors. I'm not very sure if the kind of companies or the kind of businesses that lend themselves to allowing remanufacturing within their business models are about to approach this, to use a Latin term, suo motu, by themselves. I think a lot of it would be driven by the incentives. Of course, having said this, there is history, especially in the automobile sector, where this sort of remanufacturing has matured, and it's evolved to this extent in other countries also, as it has in India. So there is a history and there is a practice of this. But I think that's largely because of the nature of the sector. So what I would think is that a very careful sectoral analysis would be helpful in this kind of exercise for India, to see actually which sectors lend themselves to the practice of remanufacture. And alongside, if there were to be conducive policy, then you would have the sort of complete environment to drive this. But the last component in this is always the allaying any customer fears about standards, about the quality of the product. So that brings another pillar of the whole story, which needs to be completed. So it's industry has to be, I don't like to use the word educated, but let's say there has to be far greater awareness in different kinds of sectors about the potential for remanufacture in that sector. I think that's what would really help as a first step. And then if you start looking for maybe a roadmap after that, provided to maybe we sit with the government of India and do this kind of thing with a stepwise and incremental approach to how the correct policies can be matched with this, because the continuity of policy, it will be another important issue here. If that changes from with election cycle, it's likely to be damaging or negative or not a very happy situation for industry. So I think I would just, like to point out these main factors as contributory to industry mood.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. I think it sounds a little bit like wait and see. We will jump in once there is a very clear business case or incentives for us to do this. I personally also think that if we think in terms of incentives, it could be in terms of product specification. So you have to have so much more remanufactured content, but and we should think basically bigger than the traditional way of forking out money and say, okay, if you do this, you get so much money. It should also be more the industry related incentives to encourage experimentation, and maybe also to facilitate the retrieval of materials and the recycle products. So you're also clear on if you take some waste that you can process this and that you don't fall under be considered as a waste processor in that sense. So there's many aspects to this incentivization. I mean, you're also very clear, and that echoes a little bit of what Michael was also saying on let's focus on some sectors, so that we can also see some of the good stories. So that is actually quite a nice transition to the people joining us from Tata Motors Pro Live, Mr. Virendar Singh and Mr. Lalit Upadhyay. Sorry, I'm not yet fully Indianized with the name, so apologies for that. So I would like to see that we understand that Tata Motors has about 2 decades of experience in remanufacturing, particularly for engines and engine parts for commercial vehicles. So not your personal vehicle, but more the larger trucks and so on. This would well be a gem of Indian remanufacturing. So could you share some of Tata's good remanufacturing practices that could help us all to understand what are the opportunities and what are some of the challenges encountered on the remanufacturing shop floor, so to speak. So over to you. Tell us about Tata.
Yeah, thank you, René, and good afternoon to all the participants here. So let me, begin by saying first that, Tata Group philosophy and the mission is a deep commitment to improve the quality of life of all its stakeholders and community at large. And when I say community, it's the global community, the humanity as a whole. And Tata name is no stranger name to anybody in India or across the globe. So, and being a very, very responsible corporate citizen, that's the mission with which all the Tata Group companies drive themselves. And when I say that every Tata Group company or Tata employee aims to enhance value for the customer through the products and services it provides, the best experience to the customer. At the same time, being extremely conscious, of our resources, conserving material, reducing carbon footprint, saving the environment as a whole. In short, being focused towards sustainability and sustainable development. And to this effect, Tata Motors Pro Life, like you introduced, Tata Motors itself is always trying to innovate mobility solutions for its customers. And it's a very big name in the country and offering, larger number of vehicles to all its customers. But Tata Motors Pro Life, when I say, is one such initiative which serves both the purposes of serving its customer by enhancing value, providing them remanufactured products which are as good as new, but at around 60 to 70% cost. And to reduce, the aim is to reduce the total life cycle cost, to provide him the high quality product and reduce his life cycle cost, have him a good experience. And at the same time, it's a circular economy initiative, and it aims at recycling waste, conserving material for lower social and environmental costs. And what do we achieve? We have reduced carbon footprint, we reduce scrap generation over a period of time. Like we started 2 decades back. And let me tell you, we were the first OEM to start organized remanufacturing. We started with reconditioning, migrated to remanufacturing of automotive engines, of all commercial vehicles that we produce. And, still we are the largest OEM doing this. Close to 3,500 engines per month we do, from 1 cylinder to 6 cylinder. And we, over a period of time, have gained a lot of expertise in, how to conserve material, how to reclaim it, how to, bring the best out of an old, worn out material. And like I said, close to 35,000 engines we are already doing per year. We have 3 plants that we are doing. And we had a sustainability study also done. And recently we got a CII award for most innovative environmental project. And that's a big feather in our cap. And we have done, a lot of things to earn this. And during this sustainability study, close to 4,000 tons of material we are saving every year. And about 28,000 tons of CO2 emissions we have reduced by way of remanufacturing, because we compare with a new engine which is being made at plants, at manufacturing plants, what is the kind of CO2 emissions involved with that? And when we compare with what entails, like you said, 70 to 80% there are greenhouse gas emissions reduction, 70 to 80% the material reduction. So our aim is, for the last 20 years or so, we have been trying to innovate technologies to revive castings, forgings, sheet metals, composite materials, and have been working towards it. So a lot of salvaging, like you said, what exactly are we doing in terms of best practices? A lot of salvaging initiatives. We have been experimenting with a lot of trials, a lot of validations, technologies on this. And over a period of time, like automobile typically involves these 5 C's, like cylinder block, crankshaft, cylinder head, con rod. So these are typically the same, but different configuration in different engine, different material, different specifications, and so different technologies go in salvaging. Our aim is that nothing should go to scrap. Yes, we are far away from that aim, but we are progressing towards it. And over a period of time, like I said, slowly we have tried to capture every component that we can to salvage it, reclaim it, even end of life crankshafts that we are doing. And a lot of things go into it. And I would like Lalit to now take it forward from here on the challenges that we have.
Yeah, thank you, Virendar. See, as told by Virendar, we are having 2 decades of experience in remanufacturing. So we were the first one. I mean, way ahead than others when nobody has thought of such a thing in India, at least in India. And even now also, today also, no other OEM, or no, even in Asia also, no other OEM in automotive sector, which is very, very competitive sector, price-wise, where the customers are very demanding price-wise. And we do not find any OEM doing these things. So lot of innovation goes into these things to do remanufacturing, and which is we are constantly on the path of innovation, creativity, and trying to search ingenuity in our processes. And that's why we are able to survive. It's a business. I mean, we run it like a business. So there has to be a business case for everything we do. So for last 20 years, constantly, every year, we have been profitable. So this that is why we are, I mean, this sort of efficiency we maintain, resource efficiency. But there are enough challenges. I mean, it's not very easy to survive here. Some of our processes, like the reverse logistics, which is very key. I mean, you have to bring back the scrap or outer, I mean, the end of the life product to your workplace, to your factory, back from all over India. So that reverse logistics system, the network of reverse logistics, collecting it and transporting it back to the plants, that is one thing which is very key for survival, and that is what has differentiated us from others also, other OEMs, auto OEMs also. So that in that we, to a certain extent, we have had an expertise in that. Then getting all those things, and after that processing, that I told you, all those innovations we are having. But in terms of challenges, still there are a lot of challenges we face every day in selling our products. Here we would like to have, I mean, incentive from government. If they can create an ecosystem, if they can have some social awareness on this aspect, so that there is a market acceptability, I mean, social awareness, if there is general acceptability of the reman products, that there should be no stigma attached to such a thing that it is anyway inferior to any new product. And from day one, we have understood that our product has to be like new, perform like new. This was our mission from the day one. I mean, so we calibrate all our processes like that. So, but this has to be understood by the society also, that reman products are in no way any inferior. So in this, we would like to see any governmental support, society support, and from government side, if there is, if there is some incentive on the GST side, because we are paying very high GST, service, goods and service tax of 28%, like any other new vehicle, new product, very, very high, and it's a very big barrier in the path of this promoting this. So this we would like to have a very good incentive here, which I think we have been pitching to the government, but nothing has moved till now. And if this is given, then there will be a, from customer sides, the things will be more forthcoming. Instead of that pull will be coming, which Nandini was saying. I mean, that pull has to come. So that still there is some amount of push which we are doing. So that if this incentive is given, so that customer awareness will also increase. So these are the major challenges which we see. Virendar, I think are there any more challenges which you see?
Yes, exactly. You know, promoting this product and the GST being applicable to Reman products is currently the same as for a new product. And we are trying very hard to create awareness among customers over a period of time. Our quality, that as good as a new engine quality we are providing to our key account customers, and they have become our regular customers. They understand. But to proliferate and to penetrate into the large mass, because we are the largest commercial vehicle producer in the country, and we have a huge base to cover. And from that point of view, our presence is not that significant, and we would like to grow by leaps and bounds. And one of the biggest barriers which comes in front of the customer is when he starts comparing the manufacturing with some repairs that he gets done, because there the tax structure and the way those unorganized sector operates, there is a lot of savings that he can do on certain things which companies cannot. And so even willingly the customer is not able to taste this product or the benefits of remanufacturing. So if that incentive is provided to the industry, I think remanufacturing can be the buzzword, because companies like us are actually, with a mission, we are working towards it. We have made a business case out of it, but actually it's a mission to serve the humanity at large, to be very conscious of our resources, very conscious of our environment, and to recycle as much as possible. So much so that we have our targets that one day we have to throw zero product into the scrapyard. With this mission, we work towards our salvaging program.
Okay, thank you both for sharing quite an insight onto the work. Personally, I like your point, particularly that it seems like you have more competition from the repair than from new, isn't it? So if I understand you correct, so there's a tendency for people to get it done on quote unquote on the cheap and maybe not with the quality, compared to having it fully done up to an upgradable standard. So that's really important part of it. And the other point you mentioned is on the reverse logistics. So how do we get the engines, the used engines, back to the remanufacturing plant in as good a shape as possible without losing too many components and parts of that? And I think that is not exclusive to remanufacturing. I would also see that with e-waste recollection and recycling and these other waste streams, that the reverse logistics is something that we need to address. But I wanted to ask maybe, and I don't know who of you can respond to that, but has Tata as a group, which you highlighted as kind of sustainability and responsibility in its corporate ethos, if I may put it that way, corporate culture, have you now also seen that the focus on remanufacturing has changed on how you design? Tata Motors designs new engines. Is there already some translation of what we see as the challenges in remanufacturing that has been incorporated in how you design the next generation of motors or engines? Would you have some response on that?
Yes, definitely. You are right in pointing it out. Over a period of time, when I compare, since we have an experience of more than 2 decades, so when I compare the earlier designs with today's designs, definitely, the remanufacturability and the serviceability, along with the serviceability part, because mostly serviceability is the most important factor which dominates, the kind of design. But remanufacturability over a period of time has been very well taken into account. We have more and more now modular designs, and there is the complexity of the components spanning across different engines or models, that also is on a reduction path. So that helps. Why it helps? Because if you have a genre, or if you have a family of components which is spanning across different engines, then there is a much more chance to utilize it across different families. And so we save, first of all, on the new raw material cost, and then we have lesser challenges on reviving the old components, because the like I mentioned in the opening comments, the technologies that we have to deal in, they change when the material composition changes. For example, if I'm doing a hot working intervention on a part, and if the same family cylinder block for a different engine with a material composition slightly different, will lead me to search for another type of a hot intervention to achieve the same quality. So that means more resources, more investment, and more time. And when we say we are commonizing things, we are doing modular designs, we definitely save on efforts and our technology. So you are right, things have changed over a period of time, but yet lot many things to be achieved further. It's not that we have been up to the mark, but the efforts are in the right direction.
Okay, thank you very much for highlighting that, and I think your point on modularization and standardization of components is generally good for serviceability, for repairability, and also then for remanufacturing, as you were pointing out. So thank you very much.